Now as they move into the rest of their schedule, this gets really interesting.
Overall, I have absolutely been loving the action in these games, and this may have been one of the most action-packed series with the continuous calls. We've been talking about a few teams being tempered. It leads to messy play. We get 50-minute games, but one of those teams was CLG. They've always gone late games. We know that,
yeah.
But FlyQuest is able to stop that once again.
That's the thing right now. I feel like CLG,
not once again.
As they move to 1 and 2, they don't have that. They don't have that X factor. They don't have that magic. They don't have that person who's just gonna step up and carry.
Yeah.
When it was MSI, it was STIXXAY stepping up, carrying. HUHI by the end of the split in summer, looking better and better. And DARSHAN back in spring was having some great carry performances, and then it fell off with some tank performances in MSI in summer. So Counterlogic Gaming, they're looking for that extra pizzazz. They're looking for that magic again. And it just seems to be escaping them right now as Fly just starts surging through the standings with a 3-0 start, which is rather unbelievable so far.
Really interesting ban phase as well, hitting APHROMOO this time, and then, I don't know, I'm going to say, yo, I have the Kassadin for your LeBlanc, but the Kassadin into the LeBlanc, we saw that HUHI was playing that really clean, ult out of every chain, and HUHI wasn't getting the engages with XMITHIE that he thought he would. And again, Moon. Where is this guy coming from this season? Pulls out the Rengar this time, 9, 2, and 4, and he was all over this time. He wasn't just in HUHI's lane.
Yeah, it's a completely different look for Moon.
He was in the mid game.
Yeah, if you took nameplates off, I would never guess that that person that was playing this champion was Moon, because he's being really aggressive. He used to be the worst early game jungler in the entire league.
Yeah.
When Dardoch was #1 back in Spring Split 2016. Now it's a completely different look for him. I'm actually quite impressed with the way that Moon is playing. And I got to chalk it up to a lot of the team is just integrated him in. He's the newest member, and they're putting so much trust on him. The other 4 guys played all the way through Challenger, and now he's like, all right, I can carry this because they say I can carry this because they're giving me all the resources I need. And the fact that he doesn't feel nervous, that he's confident. I mean, he took out Reignover, which has been one of his big goals back on Team Liquid because he played against the guy, right? He's like, I've never beaten him before. And then he beat his old squad, Team Liquid, that benched him previously as well.
And it is crazy. We see LEMONNATION again now, the new AD carry, seeming to find prosperity in the bot lane. They're doing well again, and he's always been somebody that can kind of bring an AD carry up to caliber and make it happen.
Yeah, you're always like, oh man, but it's LEMONNATION, whatever. Sneaky was like the really good part of that lane. It's like, no, this guy apparently still has some moves, and that's the thing. FlyQuest, they've still got moves.
They do, and new jerseys. So with more on that win, we've got Freak Stateside with FlyQuest support.
Thank you very much, Riv. I am here with LEMONNATION, the one himself, the victor. Tell me how you're feeling off the 3-0 start to the split.
I'm feeling really good. I didn't expect to do this well right away, so 3-0 was great.
3-0 is definitely great. You couldn't start really any better. I want to talk to you about pick ban. LEMONNATION's notebook is known worldwide at this point. Something I'm a fan of is not just banning the S tiers outright, giving them LeBlanc, taking Rengar, setting up the Malzahar first round as well. What are your thoughts on how the pick ban's shaped up for you?
Yeah, I mean, like 95% of teams just ban out LeBlanc, Rengar, Camille, Red Side every single game. I think that's fine to do, but doing the trade and kind of getting an advantage from that has benefited us and seemed to, come out quite well.
It definitely has. You guys have looked absolutely sharp the whole way through, and some of that is, the Rengar going on to Moon, a player that coming in, a lot of people did not have a lot of respect for. He'd had a couple of bad LCS splits. Talk to me about kind of coming in with Moon. You've gone to Worlds and stuff before. You've got players who had a bad time in the LCS and kind of shaping up, a newer talent and having him play this well and trusted with the Rengar pick and everything like that.
I mean, Moon's definitely an underrated player. Like, I think the fact that we have such a strong leader in HUHI who can kind of like Shaka and lead that while he just, does this thing has helped him a lot. And he's just he's always like, at the very top of the solo queue and all of that kind of thing. He's very good mechanically, and he's just good in the jungle.
It's great to see he's doing so well with your team, of course. I want to ask you about one more player, your lane mate, ALTEC. And the context I want to give is when you first entered the LCS, we asked you about Sneaky, and you said he's the best AD carry I've ever played with. And we were like, whoa, really? Because you played with Turtle before. And Sneaky, of course, became to be great, and you as well. Now you're here with ALTEC, who we've seen in the LCS. What are your thoughts on playing lane with him?
Well, even before that, I played with Nintonso, and then I played with Wild Turtle. Then I played with Sneaky, and now I'm playing with ALTEC. And I think I've been very lucky with the AD carries I've played with because I think they've all been very, very good. So I've had an easier job of it, I think.
Always propped up by your lane mate?
Yeah.
None of it's your doing?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but it's definitely helped.
It's a partnership, and your teammates are going at least halfway. Well, LEMONNATION, thank you very much. Congratulations on a wonderful start to the split. We'll see more from you, I'm sure, very soon. Thanks very much. Let's go back to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Freak. There's a lot to unpack there in that interview, actually, as FlyQuest moves to 3-0 on the split so far. One more series to play this weekend against Echo Fox, still to come on Sunday. But let's use that interview to kind of frame our discussion here. The first of which is pick and ban phase. As Freak mentioned, FlyQuest opting not to go for the standard red side bans, leaving that LeBlanc up to go over to, into the hands of HUHI. And when we're talking about that mid lane matchup, most people would look at, oh, well, LeBlanc, that's going to be a pretty easy win. HUHI has a response.
Exactly. And also the almost disrespect or the strategy of Counter Logic Gaming was, we're not scared of HUHI, or we think HUHI has a small champion pool. We're going to ban him out of the 9 him picks, and we're not scared of Moon.
Right.
And both of those things didn't work. Moon had a spectacular Rengar game, and HUHI neutralized / beat HUHI's LeBlanc in the mid lane, which no one is even willing to play against in the LCS because of the power of that matchup. So I applaud the courage, essentially, to not ban those champions, because if it backfires, you get hammered with criticism.
Absolutely, right. If that ends up being a 9-0 LeBlanc or something that wreaks havoc across the map, then it was just the dumbest decision you could have possibly
pick
made.
ban, right? But when it actually does work out, I really applaud it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now if we zero in on the matchup itself more as the individuals HUHI versus HUHI, once again, HUHI is kind of shaking off any of those preconceived notions that people had of him coming into the split. But we do have to temper a little bit of what he's done, what he's accomplished with his opponents, who he's gone up against.
Exactly. Alex Each, Golden Glue, and HUHI are not necessarily the Hall of Fame of North American mid laners yet.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see. We got plenty of years left. But from there, even if he's beating these guys, that definitely proves that he belongs in the LCS and he can compete with most. Right? So we haven't seen him up against Jensen and Bjergsen yet, the top tier of the North American LCS mid laners. But with FlyQuest starting like this, that's incredibly encouraging, Dash, because most people were thinking these guys were auto-relegated, and some people are calling it the worst esports investment of all time.
Right, and I think it's going to...
But it's looking a little better than that.
Exactly, and I think what it's going to do is it's going to force a lot of people to rethink how they approach playing against FlyQuest, and specifically HUHI in the mid lane. If we now look at a Bjergsen versus HUHI matchup, do you think it's as lopsided as you would have said it was coming into week one? Probably not, because HUHI has shown that, okay, I can survive in bad matchups. I can get through the lane phase. I can play something safe like Corki or, and affect other lanes. And so I think we're running into that situation where people are going to start having to completely rethink their strategy here, not go after the mid lane.
Yeah.
In that case, who do you go after on FlyQuest?
Yeah, you have to respect them for sure. And potentially, instead of just tunneling around a specific player, you try and help your players and just play it like a normal ban phase. Like no longer just tailor a strategy saying, we're going to pick Corki in the first rotation on the red side because it messes over HUHI.
Right.
In which case, you're forfeiting the other advantages you could potentially get on the red side in this draft. So I think that's more the line where teams are going to be taking.